Hello, traders. It's great to be back here with you for our Trading ThinkScript class. My name is Mike Fairborn, folks, and today, of course, we're going to be looking at a great tool on the Thinkorswim platform, folks, that is really designed to help us find what you might be looking for in the markets, specifically potential setups in the markets. Great way, a great time saver, actually, just to scan through large baskets of stocks and find what it is you're looking for. I want to talk about 3 of these today. I'm going to be utilizing, though, the Condition Wizard to help us out. We do have a group of new folks here today, and welcome to all of you. It's great to have you here. But with that, really about 3 Condition Wizard gems I really wanted to focus in on today to really help get you going. But I'm going to add more to it than we've done in previous classes, enhancements that I've found as well to help those of you that are returning and are familiar with our topics here. But with that, hey, it's awesome to be back with you all, and welcome to all of you. As always, hey, folks, we're joined in the chat by a good friend and colleague of mine, Ben Watson. And you'll see him in the chat as BW coming through. And hello to you, Will, and others. Great to have you guys on board. Any questions, comments you have, throw those in the chat so we can address those for you. Be sure to follow Ben on X, Ben Watson CS. My name is Mike Fairborn CS for me. Love to have you on board there. All right, well, let's do this. Let's turn some time over to our disclosures real quick so we can get going here. All right, as it states here, information here is for general information purposes only and should not be considered an individualized recommendation or personalized investment advice. Now, the BeamerMoney software application is provided for educational purposes only. Backtesting results, which we do look at in this class, those are presented. Results presented are hypothetical, and there's no guarantee that the same strategy implemented today would produce similar results going forward. Now, investing does involve risk, including for some products more than your initial investment. Past performance of any security strategy does not guarantee future results. Now, I did post down here some, just wanted to note too, futures and futures option trading involves substantial risk, not suitable for all investors. We just look at the charts. We don't trade futures here, but I wanted to throw that out just so folks, you had that there at your fingertips so we could look at some of those too, because we have been seeing some pretty big moves there as well. Now, turning over into this, there are steps into ThinkScripting. Folks, we do have a tool that we like to utilize, the Condition Wizard, to help us find different setups and kind of popular sorts of setups that can take a lot of time to find if you're click. That's what I do. I click through the S&P 500. Well, I used to. I do a lot of ThinkScripting now, but it can take time to, let's say, find specific setups that you're looking for on the chart. ThinkScripting is designed to help us scan through those, really find, and isolate those searches, filter through, find exactly what we want just in seconds, just so quickly. A lot of times you just click the button, it's instantly there. We're going to design some of those with you today. 3 specific ones to really help save time and find what you're after amongst a basket of stocks that might be interesting. And these are just some of the criteria that we'll follow a lot of times when we go through and create the ThinkScript. Now, ThinkScripts aren't guaranteed for timeliness or accuracy, but as long as the data that's coming through the platform is good, which it is, we have good data, then it's just a mathematical calculation that tries to send out that information. So I'll show you that here momentarily. We do oftentimes share that script linked at the end. Today, though, you guys are going to build it because it's really straightforward, and I want to get you used to some of the coding that we do on ThinkScript. But that coding can take time, so we have a tool that helps us do the coding for us based on big, large parameters that we're looking for, creating what we're seeking out. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and dive in and just take a look at the markets right now and just step back, big picture, and say, there's the S&P 500 right there. Nice little bounce. I think many people were very happy to see that bounce. That's sort of a gap trade there. And this, by the way, as you guys do know, I do some technical analysis too, but this could end up being what's referred to as a measurement gap, kind of like what they sometimes refer to as a gap and run. There's the gap off the bottom. You take this distance from the gap in price and you add that same distance to the upside, and well, guess what? It puts us pretty close to the big 7,000 number right there, which is exactly those prior highs. So it's interesting. Maybe we'll come back up and touch that into that space. But yeah, so if we get this run here, We could see a run here, and that could prompt some investors, some traders out there to be looking for stocks that have been showing recent strength because, yeah, after all, we are in the S&P 500. And I'll tell you what, if you're getting a gap like this on the S&P 500, it just stands to reason, obviously, we're getting a lot of companies that are doing something very similar within this index itself, with whatever index, you could look at, but, specifically the S&P 500 right here. Now, I do have the 200-day moving average. Let's change that color. It looks like it is red. Let's go ahead and just go to blue. Something different from what we're seeing on our charts here. So you can see that we did gap above the 200-day moving average. Now, folks, this 200-day moving average is something that's often discussed by a number of institutions, is quite possibly their most commonly used technical indicator. Just because in a lot of cases they're saying, yeah, above it's bullish, it's a bull above, it's a bear below. I know it's really basic, but they will oftentimes use this. It's very similar to a 40-week moving average as well. But if we wanted to find companies that also have just been breaking above this level recently, without going like this, because this is what it's kind of like. Well, here's the S&P 100. We can go ahead and take a look at that too, just as an example. These are larger companies within the S&P 500, but you can just go through here and start clicking. I mean, you see a lot of these are down. A lot of them aren't above their 200 and haven't crossed. This one might be getting close to it. Netflix, it's got some earnings coming up. But instead of just going through 500 companies or 1,000 or whatever your basket of stocks might be, we can use a quick time-saving tool in ThinkScript right into the Scan tab here. So let's head there first, right under Scan. Now, it's very, very important what we have to do here. We have to be within the Stock Hacker. So key tab Scan, sub tab Stock Hacker. There are other hackers in there. We don't just have one hacker. We've got the option. We've got the spread. But we're talking about stocks specifically in the S&P 500. So what I want to do right now, and this is the area where we can dive into using the condition wizard to help us create the code to find stocks that just moved above whatever moving average we're after. Now, we're going to extend this too for just our first ThinkScript condition wizard. It's really a ThinkScript gem to help us quickly find that. But if I go over here first, so add filter, and I need to go down to study filter. Next thing, over to the far right, you can see it right there. There is our little pen, pencil. I'm going to pull it up right here. And you'll notice the first thing that comes up is that ADX crossover. We do not want that. We're going to go ahead and just add a condition. And we're adding that condition. And it's going right into that condition wizard. That's what we're in. That's the default. Now, if we're just creating code here, we can do it right there. But believe it or not, that condition wizard can help us along the way to really get a good idea of what that code looks like. It's a good way to learn it. Add a condition right here. Now, if I just click on the drop down, I get to select amongst these 4 key levels first. Now, this is where you have to really kind of go back to that set of bullet points, and you're defining what it is you're after. And this is kind of how the process works. The condition is this, and this is the way I always like to look at it. If we were looking at a stock, okay, we got a stock over here that's trading, and it starts to come back up. And I'm just saying, hey, I want to see it cross above the moving average. So what am I saying first? Well, maybe I'm talking about price action first. Secondarily, I'm looking at a moving average. And I'm just trying to piece those two together in a code in a very, very basic and such an easy way to replicate. I'll show you right now. So first thing is price. Now, we're looking at closing prices, and the closing price is really any price, folks, during the day. It's just, hey, where are we at right now? With about 50 minutes left in the market day, it's considered where it's at right now, the close, the current close. These are the different criteria that we can select. True, false, etc. These are for other criteria, but this is really specific in terms of a direction. Look over here with me. Crosses above. Now that sounds familiar. Remember what we were just looking for? Prices crossing above or below. Crosses is not really defined. We want to make it sure that it's above. We could say it's greater than, But that means that the cross could have happened weeks ago. Weeks ago. It could have happened months ago. It could be above the 200 for several months now. In this case, we want it to be something, let's just say, for example, prior 2 days. We want it timely as well, like it's just breaking above, like the S&P 500 was. So let's click it. And now all we need to do in our next condition is we've got to find the moving average. The moving average is definitely a study. It's not a value. It is, in fact, a study. More on the value in just a second, but here's the study right here. So the study, I'm going to go ahead and click on it right now. A good quick way to look into this is just to, well, I mean, you can scan down through here and find it. Gosh, there's always some new ones I hadn't seen before, which is great. But if you want to know exactly what we're after, type in the moving average we're after. That might be a simple moving average. It's going to be, in this case, we could have an exponential. There's whole moving averages. There are other moving averages as well. But in this case, a simple, come on down here, is a closing price for sure. And the length is just going to be whatever length we want. Now, the 200-day moving average is more of that long-term moving average that traders will look at. I'm going to put it in right now. A 100 might be intermediate, and short to intermediate might be a 50, and then maybe a 20 is short term. But now I'm going to say just within 2 days. So within a 2-day time frame, I'm going to see this show up. Now that's important too, because it can be very timely. If I said something like this within 20 days, that means it's been, it could have been 20 days ago or a month ago it broke above the 200-day moving average. I'm going to knock that 0 off and just say, I want to see it now, because ultimately, folks, what I'm looking for is this. I'm looking for something like this, and maybe a long-term trend, like the S&P, for example, and you got the 200-day moving average. It's been above it, it broke below it, and guess what? Now it's doing this right there. In other words, the long-term trend might be on the verge of breaking higher. Sorry for drawing over the top of this, but I wanted to give you a visual as well. I think a lot of us learn visually. I know I sure do, just by seeing it. But it's this area right here that this ThinkScript is helping us find. Now, we don't know if it's going to do this, run up higher, right? It could go down. I mean, price can do whatever it wants, but we might be building it upon these indicators that can be of great use to us. Just breaking above the 200. What else is breaking above the 200? Oh, that's right. The S&P 500, the market might be showing strength as well, right? And it might extend up to that 7,000 if it's a measurement gap, for example. S&P 500. That's just the index, right? All right. In addition, what else do we have here with a particular stock? Well, we have something, I don't know, it's really quite hard to ignore. It's called the long-term trend, and that long-term trend might be going up. So traders might base it upon a couple of different features, this spot right here. But what the beauty of this is ThinkScript's going through 500, or honestly, I'll be honest with you, I'll add one more 0. I've seen indices, baskets of stocks at the 5,000 range. Could go through 5,000 stocks, folks, just like that, to get this area that we're after. So I'm going to click on save right now. That's it. Want to see what the code looks like? Just click on the tab to the right, ThinkScript Editor. That's it. So if you want to know, this is one method of ThinkScript coding. There's more than one method, and we're going to do some of those next week as I go in a little bit more advanced, where we actually build one that I'll actually share that script with you. But this one can be very powerful and very useful. It's a very simple code, but at the same time, it can be quite powerful. Click OK. Next thing we got to do is hit scan. That's how quick it went. We just got 45 companies. It's a very small percentage of the S&P 500 that jumped above the 200-day moving average in the last 2 days only. It's all within the S&P on that code. What do we have? I always like to do this. 45 over 2, excuse me. About 9%, well, 9% of the S&P 500 showed that move. What are they? Knock yourself out, folks. There they are. What do we have? Look at stars up top. Constellation Brands. New CEO with this company. People were wondering what he was going to do. Let's take a look at it. See if you could appreciate a chart like this, for example. Constellation Brands. You see it? What did it do yesterday? See it below the 200? That's our 200. I plotted that on the chart so we can see it. Down, 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 down. Now, above the 200 oftentimes will mean that the longer term trend might have also turned. Can you see a trend change over here? I think I'm spotting one. That a higher high, higher high, higher low, higher low, and potentially maybe on the verge of another higher high. Now, this is one of those companies. It's discretionary. They do all kinds of different brands, but they might march to the tune of their own drum. They're not as impacted by market conditions as you might think. A lot of this was the CEO, and they were wondering what maybe his plan was. I do know this because, well, we look at a lot of companies here, and I just looked at some of the reports, but that's the earnings report, and you're getting a bounce right there. Okay, Riceberg, can appreciate the drawings. Okay, I like the drawings too. I mean, here we are doing technicals. Yeah, it's very helpful, especially with the code, right? But there you go. Now that's a big move. We've got some volume behind it as well, kind of lifting that money flow up a little bit too. But you can see it right here. Now, some traders might say, well, Mike, hey, maybe I'm going to go back to a 1 year. They might just say, well, maybe this could extend up higher. Maybe this is the turn. That's why they did bring a new CEO. And we don't know what'll happen, but it is giving us some points, trend change, and some other points. So some traders might go ahead and just elect to put well, a trade on here, maybe in anticipation. Talk a little bit about this in our swing trade class. But if this is like a longer term flag pattern, maybe it extends up higher too. These points over here, close. We don't know, but let's just go ahead and put a example trade on just to make our point. Okay, I'm just going to do. It's $160. It's not exactly cheap, but I'm just go ahead and click on the ask, and what I'll do, I'll just take it down to 25 shares, a quarter of the round lot there. And we'll just put a trade on here and watch it. In this class, this is an example. But what you might also have on this is maybe targets. Shoot, I'll just do that real quick. While we're at it, the buy custom, there are targets that you could put on this. And by the way, you'd have to put on good till cancel orders, etc. Around different points. I'm going to go ahead and just adjust this. There's a potential area here. Remember, stop orders aren't guaranteed to execute at the price at or near the price, but they do compete with other existing market orders once they do get triggered. And I'll put this down here as a potential exit point. I'll click on this. I might just put the trades in previously. I just thought I'd do this one as a GTC, but excuse me, as an OCO bracket. One cancels the other order. And there you go. Let's go over here now. I'll just adjust these on the chart. Some traders might say, you know what? I'm thinking this might break out, but if we go, this is kind of more of an advanced way that some traders will use potential exits. They might say, if I'm breaking below 50% of my big bar here on earnings, and that is a big bar. In fact, it's the biggest bar I'm seeing over here. It could be the market could be showing confidence in the new CEO, question mark. We don't know. The numbers might have gone better, whatever the case is, but putting something below the 50% level, and I'm not quite there. I'm just giving you an idea of where that's at. I put it a little bit below these lows, these highs here. But either, sometimes they'll say, hey, it should either run, or if it doesn't, maybe I'm not as interested, and so I'm going to try to get out earlier. Okay. So anyways, threw that out there. What else do we have in our list? Amazon's in there. What do we have with this? That came right up in our scan. Oh, there it is. Did we cross above, close above in the last 2 days? Today? How about today? Amazon's been down for a while. This is one of the Mag 7s, and some traders might be interested in knowing that Amazon had broken through. And by the way, did break through a lot of potential resistance right through there with a gap that kind of is comparative with the market too. So that's kind of a new little feature. But by the way, when we're looking at the 200-day moving average, we could adjust something like this too. So just staying within our first condition wizard gem here, let me give you another condition that might be of interest. Ooh, I found a way to do this. Now, Riceberg and others might really appreciate this. I'm just going to give us, I'm going to give us just a black screen. How about that to draw on? There we go. So what about this condition? Now, there was the 200-day moving average, but what if we were looking for a stock that might not have been just like kind of breaking above the 200 just right now. In other words, that implies that the stock had been trading down. Now, many of you say, I like this idea instead. Let's switch some colors. They might say, hey, I'm much more of the guy that's more gal that's more interested in the momentum to the upside. So I'm not going to have a demand question mark, it might be going higher. I'm not going to demand that the stock just closing above the 200-day moving average. As a matter of fact, on these strong trends, we probably cleared the 200-day like we see in a lot of cases early on. This could have been months ago on these really strong movers. Instead, I want the stock to be stock greater than, S for short. It's an easy way to say it. Stock greater than the 200-day moving average. There's no crossover here at all. It's simply just a greater than sign, just greater than 200-day. Because there's no crossing over here. On these momentums, when we're talking about upward moves, we're talking about continuation of strength to the upside, aren't we? So I might flip my moving average into something that's much more closely resembles an upward trend, so I can capture this area right there, and that might be a 20-period moving average crossover, price jumping above the 20. I'll even say this. Let's go as low as the 10, up to a 20 range. So in other words, we just have two more conditions that we're just going to flip real quick. So for the momentum, MOM for short, the momentum traders, I want it to be above a long-term trend, but I also want it to be changing above, let's just say a 10. The great thing is we can change it so quick. Let's get our chart back on and go to our scan. Now I'm going to pop back into our scan. I'm going to do that right over here, everybody. You just got to go right into that little pen, right, to click back on it, because I'm going to adjust this for us. We're going to go ahead and just pull that up again. I'm going to go into edit. And so I still want price going above a moving average, and I want it crossing above too. So I'm not going to throw this one out. I'm going to keep it here. And I'm going to say, give me the 10 period. Fine, I'll do the last two bars, or within the last 2 days, because we're still using daily chart. If I want to go intraday, because some of you do, you can go a 30-minute, 60-minute, 5-minute chart in here if you want to. We go into detail on that in some of our other stuff, but right there you can do it. Okay? You can change that aggregation period, but for now, I'm just saying, let's go to a 10, okay, within the last two bars, but we're not done. What about a longer term trend? What about the 200-day? I'm going to add one more condition. You see that right off the bottom? Here's my first condition. Easiest way in the world, just click add condition again and add to that filter. So just like you'd have other filters that you might use on Schwab.com, it's a great resource. A lot of great fundamentals on Schwab.com too. But over here, building the ThinkScript, we're just adding another filter as well. In fact, we're just going to say price, since we know how to do it, closing price, greater than the 200-day. Totally different from crosses above, because we're way, way, way above it, months ago possibly. Right? Back to our moving average. Here it is, the simple. Here it goes, the simple moving average. Okay? The simple moving average there. And I'm going to go 10. 2 days, fine, within the last 2 days. So I want a resumption of the long-term momentum to the upside. Okay, let's click it again. Okay, so now we've got it. Let me just examine this one more time, make sure we've got what we wanted. So crosses above within the last two bars. Let's see. Oh, greater than, I'm sorry, I didn't say two bars here. The greater than is just going to be right now. If I put a 1 here, sorry, it just means it's greater than right now. Okay, I'm actually going to narrow this down. Well, let's say, do you want to do 1 bar? I'll show you how exact this could be. We have a lot that came up. Watch this. If I just say 1 bar here, we're not going to get 123, because we're saying it's crossing above today. And today, what? That went to a 10. I'm sorry, folks. Let me redo that one. Let me go back to that. That's why it was so messed up. I apologize. Greater than, did I say 10? I meant to say 200. 200 right there. Now we're going to be a lot lower. Yeah. So this is the 200. 200 within the last one bar. Again, greater than. So long term, that's why it was off. That's a good way to go back and just review, though. Closes greater than, just read it, and crosses above the simple moving average, 10-day simple moving average today. Wow, this is going to be a lot smaller. Go through the 500, 6. Yeah, there's 6 there. Oh, wow. Yeah, we're getting the stars one coming up again. It's right there. And so too, Hershey, some of the names we might recognize. Hershey, McDonald's, Williams are in there as well. Let's just take a look at that right now and see what we've got. Actually, you know what? Let me do this just to get a little bit bigger group of companies, just to show you, because yesterday was an up day too. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go one more bar on the crossover. Just one, prices going above the 10 period within today or yesterday. Boom. 53. Wow, we got a lot more. So I put that in there because we're just one day behind. Maybe we don't want to find something that's Honeywell's on there that's gone up too long ago, but maybe something that's also jumped up higher. There you go. Are we above the 200-day? Check. Is the trend up? I would say check is again. Higher highs, higher lows. This is a higher low over here, maybe a higher low here too. Do you see the bounce? Do you see what we're doing? This is a lot different from stars that went like this. Constellation Brands. This is the way to pick it up on the upside potentially. Okay, and we had quite a few when the market bounced. Let's just throw in that 10 moving average so you guys can see it. Simple moving average right there on the chart. Oh, I had one. Okay, forget it. We'll just use it up here. Here's my 10 period. I got to change that color. And there it is. We should have just gone over the last 2 days. We did. Notice we closed below right there. And what that price does, just like we'd expect, 10 period moving average following the pullback beautifully and the possible reversal. So we're just looking for the possible resumption of the trend to the upside, folks. And you got it just like that. And you have the code and you can run that code too. Now here is a great tool. If you go to the scan tab, you can come in here if you wanted to have something like this and you can name it whatever you want, like long-term trend up crossover or momentum trading, whatever you want to call it. Come up here into this group where it says Add Condition Wizard. It's that middle hamburger icon right there. And just say Save Scan Query. Now, I'm going to put it up top just for the sake of this class to show you. I'm just going to put a 1 in front of it because it does it in alphabetical order. Or I could use A or whatever. But I'm just going to put a 1. I'll show you what I mean here in just a second. And I'm just going to say Momentum. Momentum search like this, okay? Save. Now, what's awesome about the platform here, you can have any chart up that you want. I'm going to go over here on the left-hand side gadget window. I'm going to click on watch list right here. Let's go over here. And I put it at the top, and you notice what I've got? Yeah, I've used this before, but I put it right at the top for me just so I could highlight it for you guys. When it's got this little icon to the left, it means that it is a saved scan, meaning that it can run this criteria and look for this criteria every single day for you with new results, perhaps potentially new results. In fact, there will be new results frequently because we're just seeing over the last 2 days. And now you can get breakouts really in any market condition right there at your fingertips just by opening this up. So find it, pull it up over here. You got it. I'm going to link it and watch this. So I go in here. There's Amgen, another one right there. Oh, same thing. See the criteria? We're coming up, potentially bouncing hard. This was a bounce. Again, we're right there. Now, there's other criteria you'd want to look at. You know, traders will oftentimes use other criteria, of course, that they want to confirm, but you're seeing the general sort of outlay of what that trend could look like so fast too. But we have quite a few in here. You can always change those characteristics if you want. If you wanted to change that, go up top, just go to scan. go back into the script. If I wanted to change it to a 1 day or change that code or whatever, edit it, click OK, and then go back and just resave it right here. Save the scan query again, and it will update that criteria, folks, so that you have it all right there in a spot that's opened up for you. Super quick, super easy. And sometimes traders will have maybe 1, 2, or even 3 of these on the left-hand side, and they can get that set up to do. All right. All right. So that was really our first condition wizard gem. I got a couple more to go, but I just showed you an enhancement to it. So you can look at it. We'll dive into the next one here in just a second. But what I wanted to show you all right now, too, folks, if you're getting value out of this concept or these concepts, consider giving the video a like. It just helps get the word out, and I would appreciate that if you guys are interested in doing that. Also, in this class too, be sure to subscribe to our Trader Talks channel. Love to have you all on board here. In fact, if you go to Trader Talks, in fact, I'll put this in the chat box too, just so you have it right now. And oh, there we go. Oh, okay, great. So we do have. Thanks, Ben, for doing that poll as well. And thank you for the 35 votes as well, folks. But that right there, if you're just, if you're brand new, love to have you on board too. To this group. In fact, you get some great playlists in here too that you can scan through. Here's one from Ben that he did recently on trading index options. Does a great job there. Teaches our futures class as well. You see Ben on the road too. But a lot of great stuff in here. And of course, it is all free. All right. I like to use that, Ben, because Ben said, hey, it's all free. And I said, that's right. It is free. Just subscribe. It's all there for you. But yeah, and you can find a lot of great content in there as well. Okay. Well, with that, let's dive into our next one. You know what a big search is too? I mean, like one that's really quite popular too. And we saw this not too long ago, but it was to the downside. And it's there's the golden cross, which is really the 50-day moving average, greater than the 200-day. There are a lot of different variations in here. I've seen a shorter term version of this. It's something like this. The 20 becomes greater than the 40-day moving average. Just using simple moving averages. Some will use exponential moving averages, but there's also like the death cross, which is just the opposite. And that's the 50 less than the 200-day moving average. In other words, we might just start to see a big pullback here. And sometimes those longer term moving averages can give us more insights for sure on the trend change, the longer term change of trend. And let me show you what that looks like specifically, okay? So I'm going to use our exact same scan. Well, not the same one. In fact, what I'll do is we'll jump into it. I'll pull it up over here, and we're going to call this the death cross, which is what they call it. And I'm going to go right back into it. The 50 going below the 200, although it would be interesting to have the 50 above the 200, the golden cross, as a watchless column when those start getting hit. So that when you pull up Thinkorswim on the left-hand side, what do you see? Well, you see some of the golden crosses occurring, but we haven't had too many. In this case, let me build this up for you and show you how this works. Okay, so price is not involved. These are moving averages crossing over moving averages. Instead, in this case, it's just a study, simple moving average, just like this search is simple moving average, 50 length, crosses below. That's the death cross. The golden cross is just one click above it. And it can be changed quickly, but let's do this. Let's go ahead. I'm going to flip it back and forth just to show you guys too, but here's the simple right there. Moving average. This is going to be our 200 because we're just defining that. I'm going to say, watch the, shoot. It's been a little while, but let's just say within the last 5 bars, we've had a death cross. Okay. That's occurred. Everybody clear on that? So it's just, in this case, it's not price. It's MA below MA. In other words, we've just defined the death cross. Let's click save, click OK. And by the way, that OK will stay grayed out if it doesn't work. The beauty of the condition wizard is Believe me, I do this all the time in this class. I'm constantly getting the okay not showing up, so I've got to correct the code. But in this case with the condition wizard, I have not seen it not show up, so I can click OK, meaning that the code is valid. Click scan in the S&P 500. This is what we've got. We had 12 companies. Let's just take a couple. Tesla, right there. MDT as well. Death crosses in the last 5 days. TSLA. You guys tell me if you see a downward move here. There's the 200. Sure, that is a 10, but it also crossed below the 50. And this can mean a longer term pullback, according to some traders, how they use it. There's your 50. Let me get this a little bit thicker so we can all see it. Click, tab through it, and click OK. There you go. Did we just cross over? Is that a thing of beauty or what? Look at that. Look at that. How many stocks do you have to go through to find this? Folks, there's a lot of clicks to get through and hit it out of the S&P 500, but there's Tesla that just had that death cross. So some traders will say, Mike, that's, or whoever, that could be a longer term downward move. And what you'll oftentimes find is this right there. It's taking out some major key support level, which could mean a downward move. We don't know. I just noticed Tesla on there, so I wanted to highlight it, and there you have it. Nothing against Tesla, but hey, we're having the death cross right now. Maybe earnings could change that, but whatever the case might be. Now, here's a thought. If the market begins to see a larger turnaround, do you want to have a way to monitor golden crosses? Come up here. Let's do that. Let's create a monitor for a golden cross. Up top, I'm going to go to the right. I'm going to flip, you know what? Flip this to above 50 now, above the 200-day. We're not going to see too much because we've been down. Do we see anything? Uh-oh. No matches, nada. I'm still going to save this. Middle hamburger icon, save. I'm not getting any matches, so why would I save it? Because I want to be alerted when it pops up. If I start seeing a fair number of these, that might be giving us indications of a broader, longer term recovery in a given stock. So we'll keep the one up there just so I can spot this for you guys. But I'm just going to say golden cross. Simple as that. Click on save. And now it's going to be right over here in my watch list at the top, golden cross. And yes, we don't have anything showing up. No matches. But wouldn't it be interesting if we have this little box opened up every day and then we start to see them occur? Would you want to know immediately? Now you don't have to run this scan every day. All you have to do is look over here and see if anything shows up. And your eyes will probably just see it because it'll show up already. So longer term change of trend could be the case over here. That's what could be unfolding right there, okay? So got to park that in our minds here. Now, there is another one that I want to highlight here for you. This is using indicators. Now, indicators are very, very interesting too. And I know some of you are so good at using these indicators. We use so many in this class. But a common one might be like the RSI, Relative Strength Index, created by Wells Wilder in his 1978 set of books. But I mean, it's just he created it back then. And it's looking for momentum strength as well. A lot of times what they'll look for, though, are price moves above a given level. Say, for example, 50. If I'm breaking above 50, it could represent some strength out there in the market. Now, could I add this to what we've already created? Folks, we absolutely could. We could have that momentum crossover. It broke above our 10-day moving average. Simultaneously, it's above the 200-day moving average, but just recently crossed above the 10, and we're greater than the 50 RSI. That's showing internal stock strength. Look at this. I could show you guys this pretty easily over here. If I went over here and I just did back to our scan, I'm going to go back into our search. I'm going to just use an indicator in this case. And so this is going to be completely different. The first condition is an indicator condition. It's a study. It is in fact the Wilder RSI, and it's just right there in RSI. We have some varieties to it. It's right there. Hard to miss. RSI, got a few of them, but it's just the top one right there. With that, all I'm looking to say is it is greater than or equal to, I'll even just say greater than. In this case, what is that RSI on the chart? As we looked at RSI over here, what do we have in our column? This is RSI, let's say, and RSI has been going like this, and it's just, let's say that's the 50 level right there. Notice what we're doing here? We're talking about a value. That's an RSI value. So anytime we're thinking about indicators, park in your mind, I can do virtually anything with the condition wizard if I'm just thinking about a value on the side as well. Value. What's that value? Well, it's 50. Within the last, I'm going to use crosses above. I want to make sure it's like happening just like really recent. Crosses above in the last 2 bars. So we just broke above the 50. In other words, we're seeing more of the internal strength, which is what the RSI shows us on this level. So we're seeing it breaking above into bullish territory. I could have said greater than. If I had other criteria, that might make sense. But right now, we're just focusing in on that RSI. That's it. That's the code. So simple. And it's so easy for ThinkScript to find. Look at that. We did it immediately. Just immediately. In fact, we had a lot in the last 2 bars. Let's just narrow it down today. What's breaking above it today? There you go. It's not going to be 160, 28 companies. Well, Stars is there. You're going to see. So Stars qualified for all 3 of those, for example. We've got others in here too. As an example, let's use one here. This is, so you got UPS and BMY, Bristol Myers, right? That is a pharmaceutical company. There you go right there. That's getting just above the 50 period move. Well, it's right at the 50, you could say. This has had an upward trend. Is it ready to reverse higher? That's a higher high, higher low. But what this scan did, 50 period moving average. Next week, we're going to go into more detail on that moving average, and we're going to take a look at early warning signs through. We're going to take it a step deeper. We're going to create a code that looks for early warning signs in terms of divergence for stocks that might be heading down. In other words, we might be saying, say, for example, money flow, making new lows as prices are making new highs. People potentially getting out of a trade. We might have the RSI in there, breaking lower, not making new highs. Case in point, let me just show you, because this will be next week's kind of discussion here. Clear one here on Tesla that ended up going down. Look at this higher point. See that? That's a higher high on price. When it comes to the RSI, this is referred to as a negative divergence. That's a much lower low right here than this high using the RSI. And this can be very, very insightful, something you really want to look for potential tops being formed and bottoms. But we're going to do a deep dive on this. We'll have a ThinkScript ready to go, and we'll share that for you all next week. Folks, if you got value out of this presentation, smash that like button. Be sure to follow us. Thank you, Ben, for all your help. Folks, I really enjoyed this class, and it's great being here with you. I get a lot of great feedback and insights, too, topic requests from many of you that have been here before, but I did want to welcome you all that are here joining us for the first time, and always love to see back our vets. Great to see you all coming back each week. On that note, everybody, utilize these tools. It's a great time saver and a good, quick way to find what you're looking for. And on that note, everybody have a fantastic rest of the day. See you next time.